let's go get some audio here, and we've got a fancy new countdown, Eric.
Oh, wow.
Is that cool?
Yeah, that is cool.
Waiting for the streaming. Wait, I have sound effects. That's Jordan's idea. Waiting for YouTube. Waiting for you. Okay, here we go, and let's get the show started.
Where does yesterday's future, which is already here, meet today's future, which is about to happen, and tomorrow's future, which could be just minutes away? Welcome to Technology Revolution, the future of now, where host Bonnie D. Graham asks savvy futurists for their predictions about the tech-driven trends that are shaping our future right now. Here's your host, who will take us into the future of now, Bonnie D. Graham.
Thank you to the voice of Ryan Treasure, who introduces me so well. I'm Bonnie D. Happy to be here, and we've got I'm going to call this a family show. I don't usually do those, but those of you who are regular viewers, oh, come on, admit it. A lot of you watch the show all the time. You know Eric Simone is on with me all the time. He's on almost every one of my series. He's a cool dude, and he's on my Happy Birthday show, and here he is on Technology Revolution. And I asked Eric, what is your team at Clearblade doing? What kind of expertise can they bring to us as a thought leadership team? And he said, well, you have to meet Aaron Allsbrook and you have to meet Martin Pandola, because we have an interesting view on AI as part of things, our machines, our everyday go-tos, everything we do. So before I do any more talking, I'm going to read my formal opening. And gentlemen, when I call your name, and Eric, this is new for you, so I refreshed yours, so don't think I'm repeating anything. When I call your name, just wave. So today on Technology Revolution, the future of now, the future of our things plus AI. What's next and how? Bonnie D on her Scarlett mic leads the conversation with Eric Simone, Aaron Allsbrook, everybody wave, and Martin Pandola talking innovation. See conversation innovation. Will AI shift from the cloud to everyday earthbound things, from cars to toothbrushes? Let's imagine the changes it brings. Will it help us rest easy and guard our homes right? Our futurists share their predictions with expert insight. Here we go. Eric Simone. From Haverhill's breeze to Newton's embrace, then Chicago's pull set his life's new pace. At Purdue, Eric honed his coding might, blending bold ideas with a Hoosiers fight. IBM called in '88's time frame, Eric. Air traffic control became his game. From Rockville's hum to Kodak's code, Eric led with skill where systems flowed. In 2007, his Clearblade company took form, modernizing mainframes, defying the norm. By 2014, Eric's heart beat strong, IoT edge, leading where future visions belong.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's
Yeah.
new. That's new. We
Yeah, that
redid
is
that.
new.
You've only been on 20
Yeah.
times. It's
And
a lot of work. I charge extra for that.
that
Aaron,
call in 88 I answered was a landline, just so you know.
there you go. Well, I think I still
Morse
have one of
code.
I think I still have one of those around. Yes, I do have a tapping noise on my sound effects, but I don't have time for that. Aaron Allsbrook is here. From Raleigh streets where young dreams grew, Aaron built visions, brave, bold, and true. A middle school friend lit the tech spark bright. Aaron saw robots and flying cars in sight. From football fields to science Olympiad flair, and bowling club strikes that proved his skill and his care. Aaron earned NC State degrees with pride. EE and CPE, knowledge was his guide. At IBM, he tackled the Y2K scare. Then Clearblade was born from vision and dare. Now digital twins and edge AI he steers, connecting industries, shaping the future years. Aaron?
Well read. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Martin Pandola is with us from Austin's heart, where big dreams start. Martin found code was his truest art. At UIUC, he earned degrees twofold in computer engineering, precise and bold. Clearblade engaged Martin in 2017, an intern with skills and a drive so keen. From gateways to sensors, lights that respond, and protocols woven with tech far beyond. As Clearblade Director of Engineering, Martin leads with skill, solving hard problems with sharp-edged will. Off the clock, he reads, studies psychology, writes games, and he roams. and enjoys walking with his wife near Chicago's lakefront homes. What'd you think? How we do? Good?
That was incredible. Thank you so much.
I've never had an incredible before.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to finish up with our visionary panelists. The future's looking bright as AI is set to transform our things with speed and light. From cars and pens to kitchen tools will accrue. Our savvy futurists predict what's likely to come true. So I did okay, Eric?
Oh, that was fantastic as always.
I'm
But it was,
glad.
I learned more about Aaron and Martin than I have in the last few years. So I've got questions. I'll take those
You
offline.
have to
That's
go back to
funny.
the
That's
back to the
funny.
table at Clearblade.
Yeah,
I have a quick question for you, Eric, before we get into a
sure.
little more bio. Why don't you tell us again? I've asked you before. The name Clearblade. It's one word, capital C,
Oh,
capital B. Where'd it come from?
so we wanted a name that meant getting down to business and cut through the BS. So we're a bunch of engineers here, so we like to underpromise and overdeliver. And so there's a lot of hype in the software world, and we like to keep our hype real. And so that's part of our kind of our tenet. One of the tenets here at Clearblade is work really hard and build the best software possible and prove it.
And prove it. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And thank you for promoting the show in your newsletter when we're
Oh, of
about to do a
course.
show. I appreciate that. And we have to do a shout out to Danielle. Why don't you do that? Say hello to
Oh,
Danielle.
Danielle Schultz-Barend,
Amazing.
our Uber marketing person, the first marketing person and only marketing person that we have. So she does the work of 20. She's fantastic.
And she's good at communicating with me on email. So I
Oh, she's
appreciate
great.
that. She's
Yeah.
great. Okay. I'm sure in the 12 lines I prepared in rhyme for each of you, we didn't cover everything. We covered the high points, but not everything. So, Eric, why don't you take 2 minutes, because since you've done this before, two
Yeah.
minutes, lead the way. Give us a little more detail about what you're all about, separate from Clearblade, a little
Oh,
more
yeah,
about your
yeah.
path.
So look, I've always been a restless individual. I'm a computer science person like the rest of our folks here, but I always wanted to do more than just code. And I remember just years ago in my 20s when I felt like I was being boxed in, I couldn't really spread my wings. I just told myself, hey, if I'm ever in a position of leadership, don't do that to someone else. So that's kind of the way we lead here. Um, I've got a wonderful wife and two now pretty grown-up boys, 20 and 17. And they are, we just visited Purdue yesterday. So I was there for business, and my youngest son is hoping to go there. So that's the lifestyle. And I live up here in northern Chicago area where grass is green and the summers are nice and the winters are a little colder.
And you are a frequent guest on my repeat series, on a subset of this series where we talk about the future of driving and AI.
Yes.
Vroom. And you're coming
Yeah.
back in a couple, I think October 1st is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
next one. And we share car stories. Aaron, you might want to ask Eric. I'll
Okay.
send you the link to the past two episodes.
Yeah.
And my guests, Eric and two other gentlemen who are car aficionados have fancy cars in the background. By the way, I have to tell Aaron and Martin that I am an early woman in tech.
Okay.
And I was coding in COBOL on a Xerox Sigma 6
Sure.
CP5 mainframe and key punching 2000 Hollerith cards. And I
Oh
didn't
my
know
goodness.
that Hollerith, I just found out in one of my shows, my research yesterday, Herman Hollerith didn't just invent the 80 column card. Apparently, he invented the company that became IBM. I didn't know that.
Huh.
It had a very, very long name, and he was in one of my history lists for yesterday for August 12th. And I thought that was very interesting. Even I
Interesting.
was surprised. And then I graduated to coding in PL1, which might be an ancient language
All
on
right,
yeah.
PL1. Yeah.
IBM 4341, running a big system for the state of Oregon secondary schools. So it was very interesting. So I'm an early girl in tech. There you go. I still have my COBOL handbook. So there. Okay. So Aaron, I'm going to put you on speaker view now. It's your turn. Why don't you fill in some blanks for us, please? Tell us a little
Yeah.
more.
You did such a great job. Thank you for that introduction. I'll
My
try to
pleasure.
add some color to it. I'm married with two kids as well. Most of my life, my kids have reached high school level, and we spend a lot of time doing basketball, which is pretty cool. We're in Dripping Springs, Texas, which is just west of Austin. So obviously, I'm in Austin a lot. And thankfully, it's green. Normally, it's not so green in this time of year, but we have a green background right now with great weather. I actually know a little bit about what you just talked about. Did my IBM days, and two areas I really worked where I kind of grew up a lot as I did enterprise modernization, where I've even looked at your PL1 code. Who knows? Keeping that going and keeping it alive and making it fresh. And then I did a lot of enterprise architecture. So the other hat where you go on and you draw all the whiteboard stuff. So those were two areas I did prior to coming to Clearblade. But it's been a great chance. Eric talked about giving people a chance to spread their wings, and I look back and man, we have had so much fun building this product, and somewhat naive in how we look at it, but really looking at just IoT in a big way. And it's a huge credit to Eric for kind of letting you spread your wings in a company like Clearblade. Not to make it an advertisement.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
And naive was the key word you mentioned, naive. Sometimes that's the innocence, the naivete, the fresh look. That's right. No
Yes.
jaded, no, oh, well, what are we going to do with that? And I'll tell you, when I was a programmer, I was inheriting spaghetti code everywhere I worked, lots, years and years. And those of you out there who don't know what that is, that's when there's so much code that's been patched and
Copy
pulled and
paste it. Yeah.
copied, pasted. Well, we didn't say that in those days.
Yeah.
Patched and pulled and go in so many directions. You have to unravel what the original intention of the program was and get it back to its core. And then we did a lot of top-down programming and branches, and it was so much fun. But it was spaghetti code was interesting. So naive, fresh, new set of eyes, new set of coding.
Huge.
Coding.
Yep.
Yes. Martin, it's your turn. I'm putting you on speaker view. Let's get to know a little more about you, please. Go ahead.
Well, I'm a bit younger than the rest of the crew here, but I am still married. I live in Chicago as well, like Eric, a little bit south of him, but still north of Chicago. Um, Grew up in Austin, absolutely hated the heat there, and decided that I really liked the cold of the winter in Chicago much better. So I moved up here, and I'm much happier now. Except for right now in the summer, right when it's back to hot. But yeah, no, I had a great internship with Clearblade, and really liked the challenging problems that we were solving there, and just being able to work on the platform and have it work in constrained environments on the edge, 256 megabytes of RAM versus in the cloud where you have tens of gigabytes of RAM, and it's the same binary and working in both places, and very cool, challenging problems that we're working on there.
Naive, fresh, and challenging and cool.
Mhm.
See, that's a profile for your company, Eric.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Fresh,
Yeah.
challenging, and cool and exciting too. Thank you,
Yeah.
all three of you. Let's go to the part of the show where I've asked you each to send me a fictional quote from a movie. Yes, Eric, not a book, a
I know,
movie,
I
a
know.
movie or a TV show or a song lyric. And I'm going to give you a little bit of background because I love doing my research, and you're going to relate it to our topic. So Eric has picked a quote from Bishop, and Bishop's real name is a synthetic android played by Lance Henriksen in Aliens, 1986 sci-fi classic film, but Bishop had another name. Everybody listen up. This was capital letters when I say it. HS17B48XG5-D5. That's Bishop's real name. Alien, of course, written and directed by James Cameron. It's a sequel to the 79 sci-fi film Alien, and the second film in the Alien franchise. Set in the far future, Sigourney Weaver stars as Ellen Ripley, the sole survivor of an alien attack on her ship when communications are lost with a human colony on the moon, where her crew first encountered the alien creatures. Ripley agrees to return to the site with a unit of colonial marines to investigate. I'll stop right there. Here is the quote. I think Aaron enjoyed that. Martin, I'm pretty sure you enjoyed that. I can't see Eric because my notes are in front of him. Okay, Eric, the quote you picked is, I may be synthetic, but I'm not stupid. I'm sorry. Oh, you got to explain this one, Eric.
Oh, yeah.
What does this have to do with our things and AI?
Oh, well, first, I have to comment that I absolutely love the first movie, Alien. And Aliens is one of the very few sequels that matches the original in a different way. So excellent job with that series. I just love the character that Lance Henriksen plays, because he's this android who he's not trusted, because in the first movie, the android goes haywire and just, attacks the crew, right? So they don't trust this guy, which is cool. But I also like the fact that he's all synthetic, but they give him a little bit more of a human bend in this movie. And so, to me, it relates to our topic here because, hey, look, obviously AI is synthetic, right? It's going to stay synthetic for a long time, in my opinion, but we will see. Um, and these algorithms, when you put them on the edge, when you put them on devices, it makes things smart, right? So you're going to have a synthetic toaster that's going to say something to you, or a fridge, or a medical wearable, or whatever, right? But these things are going to start relating to us more in a human way. They're going to feel and act semi-human, but they're going to be better agents, better things for us to communicate with, because it's a more natural way for the humans to communicate with machines than through code.
Thank you. Very, very interesting. And now they say you can do a lot without having to know code. So there's another pathway to getting things done. The era of the prompt, right?
And
I agree.
agentic AI and all sorts of stuff.
There we go. All kinds of new vocabulary for those who are willing to learn. Thank you very much, Eric. And let's go to Aaron's quote. This is a classic we have on the show. A lot of people use this, and I'm going to let you explain this. And the quote is from Doc Emmett Brown, played by Christopher Lloyd. Back to the Future, 1985 sci-fi comedy film franchise. I'm intrigued that they call it comedy because it was so futuristic. There was so many thoughts and time travel, but that's not how they described it. Written by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, directed by Zemeckis. Let's see, it was produced for Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment. The Adventures of High School Student Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox, eccentric scientist Doc Emmett Brown, and in the third film, Mary Steenburgen, a virgin, emerges as schoolteacher Clara Clayton. They use a DeLorean time machine to time travel to different periods in the history of Hill Valley, California. And in 2019, Marty McFly was Empire Magazine's 12th greatest movie character of all times. This is considered one of the greatest sci-fi films and one of the best films ever made. Interesting. And here's the quote Aaron has picked. Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. That's my best Christopher Lloyd I can do. Go ahead. Help me out here. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, well, I thought it was a great quote for especially this topic of what we're doing. And I absolutely loved that movie as a kid. I probably own a Tacoma to this day because when Marty McFly opened that thing and had that new cool truck, it was awesome. I don't know how much Toyota paid to be in that ad, or that movie. But no, you look at where we are right now, and we're in that time frame, and you see people imagining, and I love a few other sci-fi franchises for that reason of just imagining of what we're going to do and how much have we gotten right. And that movie was really full of things, right? The flying cars, the skateboards, the clothes that dried themselves, the 3D holographic images that were the advertisements just for you. They did a great
Cool.
job, and they didn't nail it, right? But they did a great job of understanding the world of all these computers is going to come to us, the television with five channels watching at the same time. So I just loved that idea. There was a brief moment when I had long hair. Actually, a number of years where I had long hair, but it turned gray. So I got started calling Doc. So I had to avoid that by trimming it back. But ultimately, a little bit of a tie-in to me and Doc and what we've been trying to do with this Internet of Things.
Very, very interesting. Thank you very much. The idea that we could go back in time in any dimension and change the path,
Mhm.
change the history, change the outcome is so fascinating because people will say to you, "Oh, well, I made a mistake or I spilled this or I did that." And they say, "Well, you can't undo that." But in the
Mhm.
movies, we could.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
about that? Very.
Martin and team are working on that right now. So,
Uh,
by next week, we'll be $1 billion company just because we're going to tweak a few things from the past.
I'll give you my list of things I'd like to undo and redo and change, and I want to
Yeah.
be high up on your top 10 of people to
Yeah.
talk to. There you go. Thank you very much. And I'm looking at Martin's quote. This is interesting from Jean-Luc Picard, played by the wonderful Patrick Stewart. Star Trek: The Next Generation, 1988. Where are we going back here? Sci-fi TV series. This is from episode 16 that aired on February 15th, 1988, When the Bow Breaks. And When the Bow Breaks is the first episode written for the series by a lady named Hannah Louise Shearer, and the only episode with Kim Manners as the director. I'm sure that matters to the Trekkies. Sci-fi was, of course, created by Gene Roddenberry. This episode is set in the latter third of the 24th century. Okay. When Earth is part of the United Federation of Planets, the story follows the adventures of a Starfleet starship, the USS Enterprise NCC-1701-D, in its exploration of the Alpha Quadrant and Beta Quadrant in the Milky Way Galaxy. I'm going to stop there. I'm thinking of gallery. Okay, the quote Martin has picked is, things are only impossible until they're not. This is like a buzzword for where we are today. Martin, talk to me. How'd you find this and what does it mean to you, to our topic, please?
I love Star Trek and watched it many times over, and I think that Star Trek has always been a key part of my vision of the future, right? A great example of where we could go, and I liked this quote in particular because it really speaks to Captain Picard's kind of fundamental certainty that we can figure things out, no matter what challenges come our way, there will be a way to figure it out and make it happen. And I like that attitude. I think that that's a great thing to employ in life in general. But I mean, bringing it back to our topic, AI and in machines, I mean, a lot of things are not possible until we have some new tool or some new revolution that comes around and suddenly enables it, right? And so we're seeing that with AI now, where we have a new tool in our pocket and we can get around some of the fundamental limitations of our past, where we were constrained by network latency or network availability, for instance, and now we can run these models directly on the edge, do inferencing, do real-time detection. We can promote privacy without having to leak all of our data everywhere to the cloud and run offline. I think that a lot of these things weren't possible, and now they are.
Very interesting. Thank you. And I'm thinking of how, Eric, I would take the bios from all three of you, maybe hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of words, and be able to condense your three life stories into 12 lines of rhymed intro that intrigue you and please each of you, and how many hours it would have taken if I didn't have a helper, a collaborator. And Eric knows this, but to Martin and Aaron, her name is Sylvie, and we communicate in French, and her French is
Oui.
better than mine. And I have learned to put the accent grave into when I say cher, meaning dear, cher Sylvie. Bonjour, bonsoir, comment ça va? And I've learned to put the diacritical marks in there because the accent aigu is always easier than the grave, but it's a different part of the keyboard. So I had to learn that. But anyway, Sylvie is able to take hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of words and put them into a rhyming format and synthesize and pull. Martin, it would have been not impossible, but it would have taken 5 times longer. I do poetry, real poetry, but it was a challenge, and she helps me get there. And then I do the tweaking. I say, we didn't get this part of Martin's story. Let's go back and put these lines in. And how about highlighting this? And I didn't like that rhyme. So it's a collaboration, but maybe it wasn't impossible, but it was certainly more challenging before I had that collaborator. So I agree, even on a small level, like writing a rhyme for a guest introduction on a show. So thank you all. I appreciate the fiction quotes. I appreciate that. Now let's go to our predictions, and I'm going to pick one from each of you. And here's how it's going to work. Eric, I'm going to read your prediction number one. You don't need to find what you send me. I have everything here. I'll read.
Okay.
And then Eric, I'm going to give you about 3 minutes or so. We don't cut people off, but you got the idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Eric will unpack it, and then I would like to have Martin and Aaron have the opportunity to comment, to add any color commentary, as they say. And all you need to do is wiggle one of your polite fingers. I don't respond to the middle one, but any of the other fingers, I'll just look and see a wiggle there. And then I will call on you, and you can disagree with Eric. Oh no, will they let you back into Clearblade if you disagree? I think
We're
Danielle.
disagreeing. Yeah.
Danielle
Oh,
will.
yeah, yeah.
Danielle will
Always.
make sure you get back in. I think
It's
she's watching on
healthy.
YouTube. Hello, Danielle. There you go. So we'll make sure everything is fine, or Tony will do it, or something like that. Okay, we'll make sure. Okay, so here's Eric's first prediction. Homes that think for themselves. Remember, our topic is the future of our things plus AI. Where, when, why, what, how will they do it? Are they
Hmm.
all they already here? Do we even know it? So Eric says your appliances, excuse me, and home systems will adjust automatically so life runs smoother without you lifting a finger. But on my show, you have to lift a finger. So Eric, where we look for examples here, let's get some reality here. Go ahead.
Yeah. So where Martin draws inspiration from Star Trek, I drew my inspiration from the Jetsons, right? So I'm a little bit older, and if you remember the Jetsons, it was Astro, the dog, and I was always fascinated by Space Lee Sprockets and that boss and the whole thing, right? So, but in that show, in that cartoon, the house did amazing things. You had Rosie the robot that did all this stuff. You had, and if you wanted food, you hit a button. Just everything was seamless, right? And today it's not like that. Like, let's just talk about what it is to have your home theater system set up, along with your Wi-Fi, along with your sprinkler system, your garage door, all on it, right? And I always say this to people that when they ask me about the future of AI and is AI going to take over, I said, you're not going to have to worry about it until your house can do all these things seamlessly, right? So we're not there yet. We will get there, and hopefully we won't have to worry about AI, but let's just get the house thing right, because it's been decades of let me install this special lighting and it works for a month. And then next thing you know, it doesn't work. And your stereo system is all set up and working perfectly with your TV. And then all of a sudden some setting goes off and you get a call, Jake, the audio visual guy, to come over and set it all up. So we will get there. And I think a lot of this is interoperability between the vendors, but in the future, near future, hopefully by the end of this decade, we'll see. I think it'll take at least then. You're going to get your house is going to just react to you, right? You're going to get your thermostat. We're already working with companies that do this. It's going to dial up, dial down based on the weather. You have adaptive lighting based on what you're doing. You'll have energy optimization. You'll have smart grocery replenishment, right? Some of these things are promised. I don't think I want my fridge calling, Amazon to go order a bunch of lettuce, but you can tie these things together. Blinds and vents will adjust. You go away on vacation, you'll come back, and your house is nice and cool, and it'll turn up. So these things will happen, and they'll happen with the benefit of AI running on these devices within your home, to then handle the differences between the makers, right? You've got Samsung, you've got Sony, you've got, GE, whatever the appliances are, and everything communicates in a different way. But with the help of AI and agentic AI and AI at the edge, these things will become more seamless, because you won't have programmers that have to hard code all this stuff, that things will adapt. So I do see a future, and the future is going to be driven by AI and AI in these machines to help it all become more seamless.
Thank you. Interesting. Okay. Aaron, I saw that finger. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Aaron gave me the finger.
Yeah, you got the waggle. Eric, I love the Rosie, right? You actually just sent me down a whole new path, and I wish I had said another prediction, because the Rosie idea of the Jetsons is so cool, because we do live in this world where we see moments of things starting to go together. But this infinite connectivity and protocols, Rosie could just go over and set it up for me, right? If my sound system cuts off, Rosie goes and solves that problem. Rosie mows the grass. I mean, to me, suddenly, if you think about, just the way our phones condensed our calculators and everything down to this one magical device, maybe we're in a future where I don't have to have a vacuum robot. I have a robot that knows how to vacuum and all this stuff, right? And so to me, I think that's an interesting path of what will condense, because a lot of what you said is just, opening and closing blinds. Well, maybe we're going to get to the point where we have that helper, that all-in-one helper, and it keeps the other stuff together. So pretty fascinating thought, where you took me down a whole other rabbit trail.
Well, I think that makes sense too. Less motors, right? They're all on Rosie.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Martin, anything you want to say?
No, I love it. I mean, we're already going down that route. I asked ChatGPT for help with my washing machine the other day, and I didn't have to break out the manual, but it spit out exactly what the instructions were to help me with my specific unit. And so it knows how to do this stuff already. Yeah. It just needs to be able to interface with the human interfaces that we've designed. Right?
I want to know what was wrong with your washing machine. I want to know what did I've never heard this before. What did ChatGPT? What was your question? May I ask? I think Martin just froze.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, you froze. Yeah. That's okay. What were you asking?
It was a simple problem actually. It was just that the door was locked and I couldn't figure out why. It was midway through the cycle. I stopped it. It locked and no, it told me that it was because this and here's what I have to do and enter this code or whatever, and it unlocks it.
Yep. I had
Thumbs
that,
up.
and I never thought to. I had that a couple of years ago. I never thought to ask Sylvie
Did
for
it.
help with the one. That
Yeah.
is fascinating. Before we go on to a prediction from Aaron, I want to pose a thought to the panel, a question, and my question is: will people know that AI is doing this? Will it be something you'll need to sign a disclaimer? Yes, I'm allowing AI into my washing machine. Maybe not my refrigerator. I don't want too much lettuce. Eric, it's time for another salad, please. Tell everybody. Danielle, he needs a salad today. Make sure he doesn't get a burger. Whatever. But my point is, we know about technophobes and technophiles from way back. We know about people who embrace versus are scared or hate, in quotes, the new technology. Will this be something where I would buy a house and there would be a disclaimer in the sales that would the sales documents that would say this house has embedded AI. Everything will be done for you once you set up your profile with whatever your Rosie is, if you will. So the question is, will this be by permission? Will it be automatic? Will everybody have to have it? And will you be able to say, no, I want to read, Martin, the damn 55-page manual for my damn washing machine, and I want to fix that code myself. So let's start with Erica. Let's go around the table. Eric, what do you think?
Uh,
Will this be required?
I think it's already part of everything we do, unless you live a lifestyle like in an Amish community, and you've just chosen to say, I'm not going to use electricity. I'm going to do this, except when I get on my speedboat on the lake. That's a different thing. But but the reality is, it will become ubiquitous. It will become embedded. Some people will understand, some people won't, and it won't matter. And in general, privacy is something that you've got to keep your eyes on. But for most of us, that ship has sailed. Let's just be honest. And I think it's just one of those things that you accept the convenience of what you're getting. And, there'll be still the 17-page disclaimer that if you click on it, you accept the fact that they can take your children away or something. But it's just a fact of life, right? So I think we'll know it's around us, but we'll enjoy the convenience of it, and we'll be happy with it.
It's here. I can imagine a lot of stand-ups enjoying that for new jokes.
Yeah.
Aaron, what do you think? What's your opinion? Will we have to give permission? Will it be here? Will we be able to turn it off and say, no, there used to be a song, what was it? Something, something, something. I'd rather do it myself. Eric may remember the song. What do you think? What's your point?
I immediately thought of what were people worried about in 2000, and we were all scared to death of our money being out there. And now I was trying to imagine, could I go to a bank and open an account and not get online mobile banking? I don't know if they even offer it anymore. And I might sign a form that said I agreed to it, but it just doesn't exist, right? You just can't imagine a world where you're not going to do digital money, even if it's real money behind it. So
Mhm.
to me, I think it's going to become everywhere. It's going to be in a house. It'll be one of the other 400 documents that I sign when I close or whatever I do. But we're not going to know we're doing it anymore. We're just, oh, this is the smart house form that you sign that off on. So yeah, it's going to be ubiquitous. We're all going to do it, and there'll be people that take 20 years who finally do it. But it's going to get that way, and it's just going to be part of it. I'll take a Martin stance with Star Trek and the optimism. The reality
Mhm.
is we are going to make it safe. We are going to make it so,
Okay.
there'll continue to be breaches and stuff, but we are going to make it so we can trust these environments and we're not just being used as possible commercial opportunities. So
There you
I'll be
go.
optimistic about
Yeah,
that.
I like the
that's true.
optimism. Martin, what side do you want to take on this? Are we going to accept it? Is it going to be here? People who live in older houses, who will they have to say, yes, bring AI into everything in my house? I want the attic to be cooled, and I want the basement to be temperature regulated, and I want the garage door to open when it sees me half a block away. What do you think, Martin? How close are we?
Yeah, yeah. I bought a condo recently, and I don't remember signing anything that said that yes, this condo has electricity in it. You know, I think that
Ooh,
just
oh,
like
wait a minute.
Aaron
Hold
said, I
on,
mean,
hold on, hold on.
That's
I gotta get, hold on. Wait a
Good
minute,
one.
wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Here we go. Okay.
Uh,
You earned that. You
You
earned that.
earned the
Okay.
first
Go
laugh
ahead.
track.
Go ahead,
no, so
Martin.
just like Aaron said, I mean, I think it's going to be ubiquitous. I think that just like my thought was I go back to Downton Abbey and when they were introducing electricity into the home and they were all scared of it and And nowadays, nobody thinks about it. It's just commonplace. I think that that's the route that this is going to go. It's just going to be embedded into everything that we own, and it's just going to be part of how the way things work.
Thank you very
That's a great
much.
answer.
Good. All good answers. Thank you. I'm going to move on to Aaron, you sent such interesting predictions, and I'm going to pick number 4. Let's see if you like this one. You say AI will answer millions of questions and replace enterprise dashboards about device fleets. Now, let me, Eric, help me unpack this. So before you go, but people will be incredibly slow to have AI take action. This is part of what we're just talking about. Here's Eric's version of what you sent because I'm sorry, way over my pay grade. AI will remove the tedious task of watching many screens to figure out what is going on all the time, like getting hundreds of email notifications and text on security alerts for access to your bank, which you mentioned before, all securely. So why don't you give us some practical versions of this, please, Aaron?
Yeah, I think we've lived in a world we get another app all the time where we're always having to check another email. We're having to whitelist, we're having to filter out a spam or a phish constantly. And it's all this human filter, it's this human presentation. And I really think that this stuff really grabs on and it will be part of us. And the reason why it'll just be like now we use a calculator instead of getting pencil and paper out is because it's going to filter to us and this is what's important now, Aaron. This is what you need now. So I don't have to open up my Fit app to know how long I walked today. It just knows that, hey, at the end of the day, maybe you need to, here's what this information is interesting to you. Maybe it'll, instead of just saying I should get up and move around, it'll be more specific about what's important to me where I am. It'll be able to do these things. I often think about, giant dashboards of stuff. Where are my kids now? I think about where my kids are. Maybe it's just going to tell me when I need to worry about my kids or not worry about my kids. It knows what's going on. Something we work so hard at is context and understanding the context of what's happening and then being able to present that to the user in a bajillion different ways, a homeowner or whoever you are, whatever you're doing in that moment, a washing machine repairman, right? Whatever activity you're suddenly doing, it just automatically knows that context and decides this is important for you. I understand that and I'll bring it to you. Filter out the spams and then know that maybe I am actually interested in this spam email that I've been wanting to buy a new television for, whatever that comes in. So to me, I think when I look at it, it's really about we're going to use technology to remove a lot of the noise technology has created. I would love for the idea of doom scrolling to go away, right? Just show me the ones that are funny that I need to know and quit showing me the things I don't need to know. To me, I think that's, again, optimism of how we're going to use this stuff, the awareness that it can all have, that can ultimately really simplify the world we're trying to do and how we do our stuff because it just comes us at the moment when we need it, the one decision point we as the human in the interaction needs to make.
I like that. Martin or Eric, any comments on what Aaron shared?
I mean, I agree all around. I think that we get bombarded with information these days, and I don't love that, but AI certainly does love information. So hey, let it have it
Yes.
and tell me what's important. I agree.
It
Yeah, I
needs
think, yeah, Aaron's dead on with this. Obviously, in the industrial world, we see this. There are huge centers where they're looking at, all sorts of dashboards and screens. And those businesses are now starting to simplify things by saying, hey, look, I just want to be alerted when something like this happens. And it becomes very specialized. So you don't want that security guy sitting there 12 hours a day just looking at cameras. You want them to be alerted. So things like that.
interesting. I would love it if Sylvie would tell me how many of the, let's say, 100 emails a day that I get. Most of them, I'm subscribing to them, but I don't really need them anymore. How many I haven't really done more than click delete on a week, on an average week or a month that I really could get rid of. I'm not shopping at Kohl's and near me. Do I need that?
Well, there goes that sponsorship.
In Bed Bath and Beyond, I understand they just opened one new store somewhere in the country coming out of bankruptcy. I don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, in all of the AI reports I was getting a couple of years ago that I thought the stuff was really cool, I read some of them, but most of them I don't. So
Mhm.
there are just about 5 or 6 emails that I really enjoy every single
Mhm.
day. And if AI could help me sort anyway, I digress. Let's go to Martin's predictions. I'm going to combine two for you, Martin, because I thought these were interesting. Number two, you say warehouse machines will use AI and computer vision to automate picking and sorting. And then you say delivery robots will use AI for real-time obstacle avoidance and route adjustment. So I think we're talking about goods, right? Getting stuff from point A to point B, whether it's from the originator to the manufacturer to the warehouse to the customer, blah, 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 to the delivery service. So why don't you unpack this is the different way of looking at our topic. Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, the delivery robots is an interesting one. I mean, I view this one mostly as like food delivery, right? We see these around town in Chicago, and Google Maps is great for routing cars, but it doesn't have much information on the sidewalks. Sidewalks around here are relatively flat, but certainly can get a little bumpy, and lots of things fall on them and get placed on them, and people are there, and lots of obstacles to get around. So these robots need a way to be able to dynamically adapt to their changing environment and use the AI to accomplish that. Um, on the other side of things, the picking and the sorting, I got to tour a warehouse recently for plumbing supplies, and they have this cool these racks, floor to ceiling racks of all of their parts, and they have these little autonomous robots that will go uh, scoot around to the racks, find the right rack, and then climb the rack, grab the box out, and bring it back down. But then on either side of that, you still have people putting the stuff into the boxes, and you still have people that are taking the stuff out of the boxes, right? The robots are just that intermediate step of storage and retrieval. So I think that prediction is on those ends of that process where we can use the computer vision and AI intelligence to be able to actually use picker arms to grab those products and put them in the right boxes and take them out and put them in the delivery robot vehicle like we were talking about earlier.
Interesting. And that, of course, gets into the lower level jobs of who was doing the picking and the packing and the moving. And that's a whole other story. But I want to bring in, before we go around the table, Eric had a prediction similar to this. Eric, you said stores will quietly fix problems and restock themselves before you even notice something is missing. So when we're talking about consumerism, so Eric, why don't you add on to what Martin said through that if you'd like to?
Yeah, well, it's an extension of exactly what Martin's saying, right? So
Yep.
automated inventory tracking. So look, used to have a women's clothing store in Austin, right? This is probably more for big shopping, but in general, keeping inventory is a tricky business, right? You want to keep just enough to have what customers want, but you don't want to have huge amount of storage. So when you automatically have robots or different devices that can stock these shelves when something gets low. That's probably already starting to happen now. So dynamic restocking, real-time pricing will add into this, right? Maintenance on the fly. So all this is capable, what Martin's talking about, what Aaron's talking about, what I'm talking about, because you can take that AI model out of the cloud and put it on these devices and have very specific ways to control these devices. And that's really the big movement here is getting this AI embedded in our machines.
There it is. Aaron, you want to join us? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated with the food delivery, right? Because I feel like we've gotten kind of, I mean, I watch Waymos drive around now and, the light turns green, the car goes, and it's awesome, it's cool and watch. But then you think about somebody dropped a paper bag on the sidewalk and now the McDonald's can't get delivered, right? The whole nother level of AI that has to sit on this machine that's even smaller and doesn't have a giant battery and all these computers. That idea that AI is shrinking down in that use case is cool. And I don't know why when I thought about this topic, you didn't even say it in your headline, but like AI and my toenail clippers, right? I mean, why would I ever need that kind of stuff?
I talked
And then
about toothbrushes, though. Go ahead.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, I thought about toenail clippers, and at first I was like, "What a stupid idea! Why even entertain it?"
No, it's
And then I
not.
thought, well, I thought, I know how to clip my own, but when I had a newborn, that was really stressful to figure out what to cut on that little newborn hand. And then I wish I could figure out how to cut my dog's toenails because they charge me like $75 to go in there and do this, and my dog panics. Maybe if I could just do it every day the right way, my dog would be like, "Oh, this is what we do." So I just thought, there are these use cases, just like a little tiny delivery food robot that's going to take massive AI and can really hit some things that are incredibly important. So I enjoy that idea of just that vision of, and it has to get local, right? We hear that
Yeah.
with all these use cases. So pretty cool, Martin. I like it.
Very cool. I'm
Yeah.
going to take it to another level. I'm looking at the clock. We got about 11 minutes left. That's plenty of time. 12 minutes left. And Eric knows that's like a whole other show. So, question. We've all been enjoying, or maybe not immediately the four of us, but people have been enjoying sci-fi movies for years and TV shows and novels that talk about automation gone wrong, about a house that overcooled itself,
Yeah.
or a shade that pulled down when somebody needed the daylight, or a car that was programmed to go over the bridge that didn't have another side of the bridge, and or the bus that didn't stop when it was pulling up behind somebody's car who was working for a company that somebody didn't want to succeed.
Yeah.
We've all seen the popularity of this. So along with the wonderful Jetsons and all the things that somebody imagined decades ago that may or may not be happening well right now, we have seen people enjoying that fear in the media of what is going to happen. What will happen when AI comes into these parts of your house? Will we need to be afraid? How will we control it? What if it goes awry? What if it gets its own personality and its
Mhm.
own full autonomy? That's what's on a lot of people's minds, I think, today. And we have enjoyed the media telling us to be afraid. Let's go around the table on that one because I think we've done some good work with the predictions here. Although I have one more from Eric, I'll sneak in at the end. But
Yeah.
let's go. I want to go backwards around the table. Martin, you first. What do you think about the sci-fi that says be afraid? What do you think?
I think that you can find a way to be afraid about anything.
Yeah.
I think that this really just comes back to my whole um, optimism about the future and being able to take a look at things and say, yeah, I mean, this could go wrong, and it might go wrong, but those are going to be a few and far between cases, and in the 99% of the time, it's going to go right, and it's going to make our lives better. So don't let perfect be the enemy of good, right? And
Hmm.
let's get some actual solutions working before we start shutting things down.
That's a good adage. Aaron, what do you think? How much should people be afraid? And should they say, but I saw it in the movie, but I read the
Hmm.
book and it was great, but not in my house? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's a little bit of that prediction I talk about, but the people will be slow to take action. So
Hmm.
while we are going to have all this stuff that has access to all this information, we're going to be really slow to have it actually do things that are dramatic. Kill the whole power, whatever that might be, drive the car, and we're already seeing people slowly adopting it, and it's coming. But there's always going to be folks that are worried about how can I control the actual action point. So when I hear
Hmm.
this, it's almost like, if there is a connected toothbrush that does AI, and I don't exactly know what it does, but the first thing it's going to do is tell my dentist what's going on. It's not going to go in and clean my teeth or drill, a cavity out, right?
Aha.
So I
Okay.
feel like we're going to move that path iteratively and build that trust. I mean, it's weird to build trust with these machines, but we'll build that trust with this AI. And it's like checking and auto pay and those sorts of things. It slows down and you have to build that trust over time, and it has to be earned. Has to be earned.
Okay. Eric,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Well, I mean, I love movies like this, right? Because it's horror movies are fun, right? And anytime there's new technology, you're going to have some writer, some director that's going to take it to the nth degree, right? Look, there was a movie in 1977 called Demon Seed, which was all about an AI home that became alive. I remember watching this as a kid. Pretty advanced for 1977, right? So this stuff is going to create great drama, great horror. But the reality is what Aaron's talking about is it's just going to be like we're going to do this in baby steps over time. Some people will embrace it. I mean, look, there are movies like Christine where the car is evil, right? I mean, it's to me, AI is like kind of like what Martin said. I loved it. What about electricity? I use the analogy that it's like television in the 40s, right? It looks like magic. It is magic. And then eventually, as we have it for many years, it's not magic, right? It just
Magic.
becomes part of everyday life.
There you
And
go.
we're in the kind of magic zone right now with AI.
Eric, I'm going to sneak in one more prediction from you on something we haven't
Okay.
talked about yet. And this will be part of your coming back on my show in a couple months about you're doing, no, you're not on the show. I have people coming on the future of construction and
Oh,
how AI will be part of buildings. And they each present 3 sites around the world. These could be public places, they could be housing developments, they could be anything where AI is part of either the build or how what's going to happen with it. So I thought you might
yeah.
be, but here, this is interesting. Eric says public spaces that react in real time, streets, airports, and stadiums, or is it stadia, will adapt instantly to keep you safe, keep you comfortable, and keep you moving. Eric, I can give you about two
Yeah,
minutes on this before
sure.
we head down. Go ahead.
Well, we're going this direction. Look, I was just at Purdue yesterday. They've got the largest lab for high performance buildings in the world, right? And so they're testing these things out. I think the harder thing is to commercialize and get it in the public's hands. But you're going to see, I would love this at my sporting events, right? I go see the Chicago Bears when they're good. I'd love to see like my walkway adjust. I'd love to see lighting adjust if it's night out. I'd love to see dynamic security cameras or drone cameras that say, hey, we're watching you, you're safe, right? I'd love to see traffic flow, right? So I can get in and out much more efficiently. These things will happen because we as humans want convenience. And eventually there's enough of a gridlock, enough pain, and enough money to be made by automating these things. And again, with ingenuity, with construction, and with AI, we're merging all these technologies to create this sort of future.
I like that. Okay, we have time for me to go around the table. We're going to call this the lightning round. I don't usually do this, but I
Ooh.
think it'll be fun. I'm going to start again with Martin. I'll work my way back to you, Eric. So, Martin, if you could have a wish list, what would be the top 2 things you would like to see AI become part of in your home environment or in your community environment? Something that with which you interface just quickly, and then Aaron, you'll be next, and then Eric, and I can give you each about 40 seconds. So, Martin, go.
All right. I think my dishwasher is one of them. I don't know why I can never get it to fully dry my dishes. And no matter how I arrange them, if I could just get that thing to figure it out
Love it.
for me, I would
Yeah.
love it.
I
Um,
love it.
and then yeah, my washing machine as well. I think clothes washing is another one that I think is kind of a pain, and I would love to see some of the rough edges around that get sanded out.
Very interesting. I would like to figure out a way to make my dishwasher wash 12 dishes because it's just me without taking a 3-hour cycle. And that's the
Hmm.
quick one. 3 hours of
Energy.
that damn thing running. Are you serious? I mean, fill the sink with hot water and put the soap on and get a fresh towel, and it's done in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 hours. Okay, but they say it uses less water than hand washing. I don't believe it. Aaron, what would you like to see?
I'll take an easy one because I use a coffee press and I sort of enjoy using kind of old school ways to do things versus, say, the new pods or whatever. But it would be nice to, how long should I grind those beans for? How long should that water sit there? I'm just fascinated by using kind of the older technologies and doing them the right way, the things that took skill and extra practice. So I almost kind of like the idea of taking this back to our less functional devices and let them kind of do more for us. There's all kinds of like man skills or other skills you're supposed to know in life that you never master anymore.
Man
Um,
skills? Did you say
well,
man
well, how to tie a good
People
knot,
skills.
people
People skills.
skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, just all these things that you kind of never got because you lived in this modern world. And I'm just sort of like, it would be
Yeah.
cool to go back and really understand how it works. And I feel like AI is kind of a way to bring that back to us.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's an idea.
Okay, there
Yeah.
you go. Oh, we go. We're revving up the cars. Eric, I used that on yours. Okay, I wanted the
Oh.
gas. Eric, what would you like to see?
I'm gonna go back to Rosie the robot. I loved what Aaron said, and mostly this is for my wife because she does so much for the family, for the house, for the kids, me, and I just don't like seeing her doing all that work, right? So if I had Rosie the robot that was doing that, then she could have more free time to do the things that she likes. So I'd love to have that personal assistant that keeps me on schedule because I'm a bit scattered, right? My wife helps me do that. Oh yeah. So if I had, and I don't have the patience I used to as a younger person, and even then my patience wasn't great. So if I want to go set up my stereo or have to fix something, it gets very frustrating. Even with ChatGPT, So if I just say, hey, Rosie, can you go fix the home theater system? It's not doing the surround sound right. And Rosie gets it done. That would be an ultimate for me. And I would rather have that be a non-human because I don't like having assistants or ordering assistants around. It just feels weird to me. So I'd rather just have a robot do it.
I'm still stuck on Eric saying you said that you're scattered. That to me just doesn't compute at all.
I'll
One
just keep Martin and Aaron on for a little bit longer without me,
one
and
quick
you'll learn.
question. You get to give a gift to somebody that has AI functionality in it, let's say to a parent or a good friend or a spouse. One item per. No big discussion here. Martin, what would you give to somebody?
I'm sorry, I missed the question. My internet blipped.
What would you give a device that had AI embedded in it to a friend or a colleague or a family member that they don't own that you thought would be good for them? One item.
Something just to debug their local internet issues. I think that
Okay,
was
that's good. Aaron, that's perfect. Aaron, what would you give?
Yeah, I was thinking of something to keep them from falling for spams and phishing attacks. I think that would be kind of an interesting one.
Okay, Eric, what would you give? What would you give Tony?
Well, for both my wife and my mom, AI glasses that automatically allow them to see better. That would be wonderful. Because my mom's 84 and that's her biggest issue now is her eyesight.
Would you give me glasses too? Because I have been to 3 optometrists and everybody said I need a new prescription, and they ended up giving me the same prescription. These glasses are 5 years old and they work perfectly. And I have a bunch of very expensive frames here with different lenses that they said were the same, and I can't even walk or read with them.
Glasses or eye drops. I hear eye drops are coming. They're going to fix everything. So something like that.
Okay, there we go.
If
Let me see if I can get an applause. Do you all want to come back and do this again in a couple months?
Great.
What do you think?
Sure.
I tell you what, we'll divide and conquer. So you'll each take a separate area of specialization for what A is going to be. One could do public places, one could do appliances, one could do work environment, something like that. I have to give you all. Let me see if I can find where is the applause here? We got to get an applause track. Here we go. Come on, you. And it didn't go up. Hold on. Here we go.
And cheers. That's good.
Would like my Apple Music player to be a little more responsive, and let's close this out. Here we go.
Are you tired of hearing the future is already here? We are too. That may have been yesterday's future, but today's future hasn't happened yet. Take a deep breath, tune out the hype, the noise, and turn up the volume. Savvy, Art of the Possible technology visionaries talking about how today's innovations right now are shaping every aspect of our real future. We'll laser focus our spotlight on buzzworthy tech like artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, augmented reality, and lots more. Clear your calendar and open your mind for Technology Revolution, the future of now. With the most upbeat host on global radio, Bonnie D. Graham. Listen anywhere, anytime, on any device.
There we go. Everybody wave goodbye to social. We're going out now.